This NBA strategy can make you a lot of money. Now in this video, I'm going to discuss exactly what you need to do to be able to use this player prop strategy to be able to cash out big time live during games and give yourself a tremendous edge over the sportsbooks. So let's jump over to the whiteboard and I'm going to discuss exactly what you need to do to implement this into your NBA betting. Now, if you guys watch any of my videos, you guys already know that I like to lean heavy on a lot of player prop stuff. So this is going to be no different. Okay, this is going to be a player prop strategy. So again, this is going to be a player prop strat. All right. Now, what it consists of is, you guys, if you've watched other videos of mine, I like to find the player props that have the highest probability of winning. Highest probability one. So for example, let's say like Jaren Jackson over 24.5 PRA. Let's say he's got a 77% probability of hitting that on that day that he's playing, for example. So what you want to do is you want to identify first, you want to identify matchups like this. Okay, player props that are going to give you the highest probability. So once you have identified those and you've identified which probabilities are going to give you the highest to be able to hit on a daily basis, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to have a whole list of those. Okay, so once you have a list of those written down, now if you guys want to know exactly how to find these players, I also have it in a couple other YouTube videos that you could check out as well. If you want to bypass all this and just want me to give you the answers, make sure you guys click the link down in the description. Okay, but like I was saying, for example, Jaren Jackson, let's say over 24.5 PRA, he has a 77% probability to do that on any given day. Well, the odds on that are probably going to be minus 250 or minus 270. Okay, that's pre-game. So pre-game, your odds are going to look like that. Now, this is where it can get a little bit different of where you can really manipulate this. So this is an example that actually happened a couple days ago. And that's what I'm using. I'm using this example. So game starts out, because you can bet these props right here, you can bet these live. Okay, there's certain sportsbooks like FanDuel, they'll still let you bet this stuff live. They'll update it live as the game goes on. So what you do is you can wait. Now obviously this strategy is going to take some time out of your day because you have to watch it. It's a live strategy. Okay, let me write that down too. So it's a live strategy. So it's going to take some time if you're going to watch the game, and you got to kind of see how the game develops and everything. But this player, for example, he started out, got into foul trouble. Okay, right out the gate, got into foul trouble. So he ended up getting 2 fouls in the first like 4 or 5 minutes. They end up sitting him. So he ends up having, at the end of the first quarter, he only had 3 PRA. Alright, he only had 3 points, rebounds, and assists. So what happened here live is this number for this number ended up going down to minus 150. Okay, because he started out slow, got into foul trouble, didn't do much in the first quarter. So here's the thing. Again, like I've said before, probability is probability. So depending on what happens, this is the 2 scenarios that could happen when a game starts when you're looking at an over. Is they could start out, they could go into foul trouble, and then they don't have a great first quarter, or they just don't have a great first quarter. They're just not playing well in that first quarter. So the line will drop because like his original line for this right here was 27.5. Okay, that was his original line, the one that was a minus 110 line. Now we take the alternate lines pregame, so we brought this all the way back to 24.5. But now, since he started out in foul trouble, this line has came down here and is now minus 150. Okay, that has an implied probability of 60%. Now 60%, bring that up here, we still have a probability. It doesn't matter really what happened in the first quarter, we still have a 77% probability for the entire game for him to get over that number. So that created a plus 17% edge, plus 17% edge live, and you got better odds. You got better odds because the game went live and he got in foul trouble in the first quarter. So what we ended up doing is you go and you bet it live, the same number that you would have gotten pregame, you got it at a cheaper rate here, which gives an implied probability of 60%. That gives you a plus 17% edge, because there's still a 77% probability. Even though he started out the game kind of slow, overall he still has the same probability, because you would have took this pregame if you bet it pregame. So it doesn't matter what happened in the first quarter. We still got to wait to see how the game develops. So this is an example for the over. Okay, this is an example for the over of what could happen here. And then what happened in the game was, first quarter, yeah, he got in foul trouble, but then the rest of the game, he got right back on track. Ended up surpassing this number and getting like, I think it was like 26 or 27 PRA. So obviously pregame, people that took that minus 110 line, they took the L. But anybody that got pregame and got that at this number, or they got live at this number, ended up winning. But the whole basic strategy behind this is, if you wait live, there's opportunities where you can get a massive edge, and that's what you want here. Okay, you want that massive edge. You get that massive edge, and then guess what? You just ride with it, because a lot of people won't jump on that right away, because mentality and your mental state thinks that, okay, if the guy starts out slow, oh, he's probably not going to cover this game. Oh, he's probably not going to end up hitting his number. He's not going to get anywhere close to that. That's where your mentality thinks. But you have to realize probability is still probability. Okay? So what's going to happen is still going to happen regardless. Yeah, maybe a little hesitation in the first quarter, because if something happens, he starts slow or gets into foul trouble. But you would have took this bet pregame, and still in the first quarter, he still would have did the same thing. So you would have just had a worse number that you bet at. So there's really, the only difference is the mentality behind it and being able to pull the trigger on something like that. But you have to understand, when you have a huge edge, you got to take advantage of that. Got to take advantage of the huge edge, because then it can come out, and guess what? You end up getting paid on that, and you get paid on a huge edge there. Like I said, you make way more money obviously here than you would here pregame. Now, this isn't every case. This doesn't happen in every single probability that has high probability. Yes, sometimes the complete opposite happens. This player will start in the first quarter and absolutely go off, and then guess what? You can't even touch the number that you got pregame. Okay? So that doesn't happen every single prop, but there are some throughout the day that you can take advantage of, just like this. Now let's take a look at the under. Let's go through the under, because we went through the overs now, but let's see how the unders go and how you can use that strategy with the unders. All right, so now let's use the example for the unders here. We're going to use Kevin Durant, all right, because he's a favorite for props, because he always likes to screw them up. All right, so we're going to use Kevin Durant for an example. Let's say pregame, his PRA line, the alt line that we use, we're looking at the under here. His PRA alt line was 40.5. All right, 40.5 was pregame. Same type of odds, minus 200 to minus 250. So we're looking at this pregame. He has the good defensive matchup that we like. His probability, we'll use the same probability. Let's say 77% probability. Okay, we're looking at the under here. Now, let me put the under so that way everybody understands we're not looking at the over. All right, so we got the under for Kevin Durant pregame, 40.5 alternate line. So starts the game out. He starts out the game on fire. Okay, first quarter he comes out. He has like 15 points, rebounds, assists in the first quarter. So what happens here? The complete opposite of what happens in the other example. Okay, this line, well, you could get possibly this line even higher. So that line could go to 44.5, and guess what? It'd be a higher probability, obviously, at that number. But then you still be paying the same price here. Okay, or same number goes to this 40.5, but then you're at minus 150, and then again you're getting that implied probability 60% with the actual probability 77%, giving yourself that plus 17% edge again. Okay, so this is using the under, because now obviously you want them to come out on fire. You want them to come out and just start. They look really good. And again, mentally, this messes with you too if you're waiting for this to do this live, because now if you have the under and he comes out on fire, you're mentally thinking like, oh, this guy's going to go for 50 this game probably. You know, that's how it works. That's how your mentality works with it. But again, if you just trust your numbers pregame and just think that, well, maybe he just came out on fire, maybe he's having a good first quarter. And this is another example that actually is something that happened. Okay, Kevin Durant came out in the first quarter, was absolutely on fire. His number got inflated to that minus 250, minus 220 line, got all the way to 44.5, which gave you like an 80+ probability on that. So that was even higher than what you could have got pregame. And then his number went down to minus 150 again for the 40.5. So came out on fire. Then also you have to kind of see how they play their minutes as well, how they play each game. Because what happens with KD is he plays the whole first quarter, and then he kind of sits most of the second quarter all the way until like the 4-minute mark. So what happens was he comes in second quarter with 4 minutes left, doesn't really do much in the second quarter, okay? And then, again, this number live went right back to where it was. So if you took advantage of that in the first quarter, you had that edge. You got that 17+% edge, all right? But if you didn't, now it's back to where it was originally at halftime. Because if you pay attention to how they play their minutes as well, you can see he gets a small opportunity in the second quarter to come in and just do a little bit, and he didn't really do much. So then we're going into the rest of the game here. Didn't fluctuate too much more. He kind of got back on track to where hitting that under 40.5, and he ended up having like 34 points, rebounds, and assists. All right, so he ended up with 34 PRA, which ended up winning for this one, ended up winning for this play if you took it live, and ended up taking for this if you took it live as well. Okay, so just because, like I said, if you're on an under and a player comes out and they're on fire, doesn't mean they're going to stay on fire. Okay, they can level out, especially if you know their minutes and you can see how they play their minutes, because that takes effect live as well. A lot of sportsbooks don't think the players pay attention to that. Players being sports bettors pay attention to what the minutes and how those players play, and they'll fluctuate the odds in between that, not knowing that you even know, well, KD only plays 4 minutes in the second quarter, so we're going to see, if he doesn't do much there, then his number is going to kind of even out. So they don't really get that sometimes. They don't understand that, and if you do know that knowledge and you have that knowledge, again, you have an edge over the sports book here. But like I said, this is a live player prop strategy that you could use to get an even bigger edge over the sports book. Okay, live. Like I said, this is live. You have to do this live. You could do it pregame, because obviously, like I said, I do a lot of my stuff pregame and stuff. But if you have the time to be able to watch games live and to be able to dictate what's going on live and pay attention, then you can use this strategy. If you don't have time for that, then obviously you got to go to the strategy that I teach in other videos and stuff that I teach to everybody as well. If you want to fast forward through all this stuff and you want me to just give you the answers and show you how to do everything, all you got to do is click the link down below. Okay, it's that simple. But like I said, this is a live strategy for the player props that can ensure you make a pretty big good margin on your betting. Okay, all you have to do is pay attention and understand the game. If you understand the game, you pay attention to the lines, you stay disciplined, you don't get crazy, guess what? You will be successful using this strategy.